Hey all, Hipper here. So, we have got the Minotaur, and like I said in my last video, I haven't really been playing it a lot until today, and this morning I've been checking it out for, I don't know, like 2 or 3 battles. I think you can see my XP, I haven't played it a lot. And that's partially because I'm not really that happy with it. I think it's too squishy, but that's fine. I mean, that's its thing. It's a real damage dealer, but of course there has to be something of a downside, and that's the fact that the armor is a bit thin. So I'm using Tenant here actually, but I have the Miss Santa guys on it, and I'm using an Agile build, Baltimore and Takao, and all the usual perks along with fully packed. So on the ship I have also the usual double rudder here, and but in the end I picked more range over the reload, because as you'll see in a minute, the reload is fine. 3 repair parties, 3 sonars, and 3 radars. I run radar on it here. 9.9 kilometers, 16.6 range, 3.2 reload, and 4.5 second turn time. That's crazy for a cruiser. 10 kilometer torpedoes, very nice, and 100 AA, 2.3 rudder, 38 knots. So it's pretty good, except when you look at the armor, because that is a lot of blue stuff there, and we don't like seeing that. Meaning that any battleship can overmatch you, and even some cruisers, I think like Alaska and Stalingrad probably. And then we'll have a look at the Citadel here and see how incredibly huge it is, and not to forget that it is stepped as well, meaning that that higher portion there is just a shell trap. So like citadeling this thing is definitely not difficult. Yeah, in all honesty, Smoke is probably a better build for this ship here, simply because you can't take any hits. So because I have Miss Santa on, we're starting out with some fireworks here. And I really started to like these geysers here. I think it's a really funny idea. I hope we get a lot more of them with different animations and things happening, different tracer colors and stuff like that. It's a new, fun, different way of setting your ship apart from, the flock of ships in the game, and not by just using a camo. I mean, these things you can see from afar, and yeah, I like it. I think it's a great new addition, and I for sure will be picking up these guys whenever they be available. One thing I don't like though is that it costs you commander XP to change the guys from one commander to another. I think that's a little bit annoying, because I like to switch it around on different commanders, but yeah, you have to pay 12,000 XP for it, commander XP. I know it's not a lot, but yeah, really, is that necessary? I don't really think so. So we are nearing the A cap here, and we'll just blast the radar to see if we could catch any destroyers, and lo and behold, we could. And we're going to put some pressure on the shimmer here to make sure that he doesn't enter this cap here, and in the same time, we'll use a fast rudder to avoid those shells, because we don't want to get hit in this ship here. So notice how fast the turrets turned from one side of the ship to the other. It is pretty amazing turret rotation on this thing here. And this Mogami here is just begging to be citadeled, but yeah, not really getting much. So doing this is pretty much what I always do on this map here. It's pushing yourself in before anyone else and then catching them out, like this Mogami here. He's in a pretty bad spot now because he was hoping to get in here into cover, but I'm already in here, and I'm using my fast build here to avoid torpedoes, all the shimmer torps, and the Mogami is just, he's done for. He made a mistake and I was here first, so too bad. Away with you. Now please do notice what the other 2 guys I spawned with are doing. They are sitting at the edge of the cap and covering me, and this is exactly what you should do if someone plays an Agile cruiser like this. Don't head into the cap with me. Well, you can if you want to, but usually you shouldn't, especially if you're a battleship. It's much better to do what the battleship does here. Set up a nice artillery position at the edge of the cap where he can cover me, and I'm pretty sure that Alaska there didn't turn the corner because the battleship had him sighted And of course that saved me, and it's like an example of superb teamwork here. If it's intentional or not, I don't know. But it allows me to cap, and it allows me not to get rushed by this Alaska here, because that would be bad. And the battleship even has backup by a cruiser, and that means that they can really put some hurt on anyone turning around that corner. And like I said, the destroyer is gone, I chased him off, so as long as no one is allowed around this corner here, I can cap, and all the Reds are in like pretty bad positions then. They don't really know what to do, and that means that we've got this flank here pretty much locked down. I mean, it happens so many times that when I make a play like this, like some kind of big fat battleship follows me into the cap, and well, just gets, you know, burned to death very, very quickly. Of course, I can keep these destroyers at bay, but I cannot do anything about AC spammers from 20 kilometers away. So it's much better to play a battleship like the guy does here, and you know, sit up in a very nice defensive position where you can still cover the cap and still cover this cruiser that is risking everything to cap this cap early on in the battle. And if everyone plays, you know, this way, then Agile cruisers are wonderful. If not, then it's less of a pleasure. So the Richelieu here that I was praising before, he has decided to keep pushing here, and that's not a good idea. I mean, we have the cap, the destroyers on the run, so it's much better to just hang around in here, set up a good position where he can hit the other caps, and he has me here to defend him. But I'm not going to follow him that far into enemy territory. That's just asking for trouble. But there's that many enemies left, and I'm desperately asking him to come back. But whatever. So I'm going to go down the middle with the other guys here to try to keep the Reds from breaking through the middle of the map here. And if I have to come back here and deal with that destroyer at some point, I'll do that. But as it is now, that destroyer is far away, and he'll have to make his way into the cap before he can actually do anything again. And it's much easier to well, catch a destroyer in a cap, because one, the cap is being capped, obviously, so you know someone's in there. And secondly, you have lots of cover in here to ambush destroyers. Out in open water, destroyers have the advantage, because they can pretty much just sail away and you know, lure you out of position and leave you, well, make you leave all your teammates behind, and yeah, that usually doesn't work out too well. So that's why I'm not following that battleship there. I think he's pushing too early and too hard. So as you can tell, I'm heading towards B, because there was a destroyer spotted not long ago heading towards B, and obviously that means that he's going to cap that cap sooner or later. And there's no better ship for hunting destroyers than Minotaur, pretty much, I think. So obviously I'm going to go that way, because we cannot really afford to lose a cap. We're pretty much even on points. And like I thought, yes, the destroyer is capping. So that means we will have to head in and pop the radar and see if we can't make life miserable for him. And speaking of radar, I run radar on this Minotaur here, same build as my Edinburgh, pretty much. And it's probably one of the most difficult ships to play with this build in the game, because you don't have any get out of jail free card. And if you make a mistake in Minotaur, because the armor is just so thin, you will get citadeled, and that super heal isn't really going to do much for you. Unfortunately, he is going to heal you, yes, but at the next salvo you'll just get absolutely pummeled again. So the safe bet, especially for newer Minotaur players, is to play with the smoke, and probably also pick Fraser or Belfast as a commander and not Tennant like I have. That's because I'm running a full Agile radar build, which I usually do, but for most people I think you'll get better results with a different build, namely Fraser, probably the best pick. So I may not prefer Minotaur that much myself. I mean, I actually prefer Edinburgh over it, I think, because of Edinburgh's better armor. But the good thing about Edinburgh is, no, the good thing about Minotaur is that it is just a destroyer killer. And really that is what we need at Legendary tier right now. Yes, it's squishy, and trust me, if you take this ship out and you're a novice captain and you haven't like experimented on the lower tier cruisers, particularly Belfast, please take out Belfast before you take out Minotaur. You will get absolutely punished in this ship here. It's a difficult ship to play. Well, it's not a difficult ship to play, but it's a difficult ship to do well in. So just keep that in mind. And of course, it'll be in the bureau next update, meaning that everyone can research it. And of course, that takes about 3 months on average to research the ship. And it does mean that you'll have a bit of time to get your head around the British light cruisers before you take this ship out. And please do, because this is probably one of the highest skill level ships in the game. Definitely. And especially in this ship you will be facing lots of legendary battleships, and I've seen other Minotaurs get death struck from full health to sunk in just one salvo, especially because of that stepped citadel. Even if you angle like you can do in other cruisers with your bow, Yamato will just punch straight through and hit that stepped citadel, and the battleship player will score 6-7 citadels, who knows, and the Minotaur is just gone. So yeah, you gotta be careful. And like I said before, please play Belfast, or well, preferably Belfast, but any British light cruiser or Fiji or something like that before you take out Minotaur. It will help you a lot, and it will also be a lot easier on your teammates, trust me. So overall, I'm very happy to have Minotaur in the game. The community has been screaming for legendary cruisers for pretty much more than a year, and so far all we got was the pretty mediocre Alaska and the even more mediocre Worcester. I mean, that thing I really don't get the point of. But anyway, now we have a proper destroyer killer with a real nice radar, 9.9 kilometers. Very, very agile, 2.3 seconds, I think, at legendary. That's quite good. 38 knots, so you can actually have a legendary cruiser with an agile build now. But just keep in mind that this ship here is squishy, especially at legendary tier. I mean, don't show broadside, is not enough. I mean, you cannot even show your bow, and you cannot show your stern. You have to play very, very carefully. You have like extreme situational awareness in this ship here, because otherwise you are just food for Yamatos and Großer Kurfürsts and Conquerors, whatever. Like, they can all just wipe you off the map in 1 second. And another thing you have to be aware of is that at legendary tier, people are, well, at least the better players at legendary tier, they are pretty skilled at shooting cruisers in smoke. I know, well, I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I know I am. And I have removed a few Minotaurs that way. They just sit in smoke, and you have 10 kilometer torps. So get within 10 kilometers, fire some torps, and once you see where they're firing from, you just pretty much aim in their direction and try to figure out where the broadside is, and you can just devastate the Minotaurs. And that's really my main concern with smoke. Against like the average player, it works fine, but if you play against good players, they know exactly where you are just by looking at where you're firing from. And like I said before, good player in a Yamato and you're hiding in smoke in your Minotaur, it's goodbye very, very quickly. So that way I deal with Minotaurs the same way I deal with Belfasts at tier 6, and that is just wait for them to smoke up, and then they're sitting still, and then you can just citadel them, and 1 or 2 salvos, they're out of the game. And yeah, smoke doesn't make the ship easier, it just makes it different, I think. But I still think that most people will probably do better with smoke because it gives you an out, and it also gives you an ability to set up camp somewhere and smoke up, and then at least get some decent damage, because that's what most people want and that's what most people enjoy. But in essence, what this ship is a destroyer remover. And if you have Battleship backup like I did in the opening minutes of this game here, and you get into like a position like that, and you have, you know, like free firing at destroyers, well, you can remove them very, very quickly with that 3-second reload, whatever it is, like an insane reload. And it's actually also quite a good agile cruiser. There's some fireworks there. Apparently, I got in range. There's also some upsides to the agile build on this ship here, because, like I said, the turret rotation is extremely fast on this ship here. So that means that you can switch sides faster than you can actually turn the ship, which makes it a very, very good kiter. Just don't get hit, like I said, because you will get citadel, most likely, at least if Battleship is shooting at you, because you just don't have the armor. And I like the red Christmas tracers here, and like I said in another video, I wish we had more to pick from, because I really want some green ones, or purple ones, or blue ones. Maybe not blue ones, but green or purple, or something that really stands out. I mean, these ones stand out, but not enough, I think. So yeah, I'm very happy with Geysers. I think it's a great addition to the game. Like, it doesn't really do anything, but for people who want to, you know, kit out their ships a little bit, then, you know, this is a great addition, and it goes beyond just, you know, putting on different camo on your ship. And if you notice here, we are just edging into the winning territory here. So that's 2 solo caps without smoke in pretty much the squishiest cruiser in the game. So an agile build is definitely viable on this thing here, and I probably will play it with this build. I just don't enjoy the ship that much, I must admit. But it's still a decent ship, absolutely, and it's exactly what Legendary Tier needs right now. We need a destroyer killer, and this is perfect in that role. So there are 2 players with more than 3,000 XP here, and 7 kills between us. So yeah, also gives you a bit of a insight into the level of Legendary Tier at the moment. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Minotaur video, guys, and I'll see you out there.